Welcome to About My Disability, a podcast in which people living with disabilities talk about what we want you to know, with some friendly prodding from me, your host, Amy Amanti. I am legally blind, and it's a pleasure to be with all of you listeners. We're talking today about invisible disability with my friend Casper Ryan, a man who literally sets a world record every day he's alive.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right. I'm the longest living recorded survivor of juvenile chronic myelomonocytic leukemia.
Casper, how young were you when juvenile chronic
We can call it JCML. Though not to be confused with Java card modeling language.
I'm already struggling to keep up.
So let me go back. When I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with an aggressive form of leukemia. The doctors predicted two outcomes. I was going to die within months or linger around for 6 years or so and then still die.
Based on what they knew up until that point, but you're here with us today.
Can't get rid of me that easy.
You're tough, Casper.
And those same doctors have followed me for over 3 decades now. Each day I wake up again, they tell me I'm writing new outcomes for kids diagnosed with JCML today.
So talk to us about that treatment for JCML. What was your experience like?
Oh, well, at 4 years old, I had no idea. But looking back, I can piece it together. Starting with bruising like you wouldn't believe. I was covered in bruises all the time as a kid, which, can you imagine the way that made my parents look when we went to the playground?
Oh, right.
In the hospital, I had to wear a mask and sleep in a clean room because I was immune compromised against very basic things. But past some of those barriers, there were microphones where my mom read storybooks to me, even during the radiation. I also remember throwing up a lot during chemotherapy. Nausea was a big part of my childhood. And I drank a lot of Diet Sprite because it tastes the same going down as it does coming up. Life hack for you.
Wow. But your JCML was treated and cured, so where is it that your disability fits in?
Right. My disability is graft versus host disease, GVHD.
That sounds like a tennis match.
More like UFC.
At this point, I've just got to make an acronym to remember all your acronyms. Casper, are you telling me that this means your disability, GVHD, had nothing to do with the leukemia?
Not the leukemia directly, but very much a result of my battle to survive.
Then your disability actually developed from the cure.
Yeah, what happened was my healthy immune cells from the graft, which is the donor, my brother, attacked the host cells, my natural cells. So graft versus host, GVHD. It means my brother's healthier stem cells mistook my cells for foreign invaders.
Like a virus or an infection.
Right, which activates an immune response that tries to destroy the invaders.
God.
Call it an autoimmune shitstorm. I tried to destroy myself.
Well, how does graft versus host affect you as an adult?
Well, it's attacked every part of my body. It's from my hair and skin down to my organs. I really struggle with full body joint contractures. The FBJCs, if you will.
Of course.
Contractures are when connective tissues and ligaments, they harden and tighten and immobilize the joints. For me, it's functionally devastating, but otherwise invisible.
Can you do anything to alleviate this? Like, I don't know, maybe yoga or something?
Well, part of living with a disability is recognizing the permanence of your situation. Rarely are there easy solutions like extra stretches or popping pills. I had this friend who sunk so much money into the thought that the healing properties of moose antlers would regenerate his nerve damage.
There's so much more to moose antlers than fighting and impressing the ladies.
Is there, though? Quick fixes like that prey on us. My joints don't straighten or bend naturally anymore. There's no yoga fix. A pill doesn't help. As I was growing up, I had to find angles that I could use to function and stay upright. Everything is connected, so I had to balance out all my joints in sequence.
You can't just fix the knees, is what you're saying.
This is what I'm saying. There's a domino effect from the toes all the way up to the neck that prevents changing just one piece successfully on its own.
What is your biggest challenge?
It's owning my identity.
How do you mean?
I'll give you an example that involves my dad. My dad taught me to use accessible spaces, to understand that those spaces are built for me. It puts me and people around me at risk when I don't use them. Dad helped me handle that understanding, and he got me asking to use the accessible seats, which is daunting. When people can't visually tell why I need the seat, and a few bad apples sit in accessible seats they don't actually need. So my credibility with an invisible disability starts off pretty weak.
Casper, what's your most important accessibility tool?
Oh, for me, the number one accessibility device, and I've had it since I was 4. I still remember the woman who built it for me. It's a sock slider. I cannot explain how essential and liberating the experience of putting on my own socks is. It's right up there in bold on the definition of independence.
I guess an invisible disability can have quite unique accessibility needs.
Of course, even my invisible disability has different needs from someone else in the same room who identifies the same way. People fall into this trap of thinking disability equals wheelchair, which is completely wrong and misleading, and it creates gaps in accessibility.
Now, that's a very good point. Now, as a person who breaks records every day, how is it that you want people to relate to you?
I have a physical disability which happens to be invisible. The disability is a huge part of who I am, whether you can see it or not. It impacts the way I move through the world. It impacts my position in society. It changes how I engage. But there's so much more to me. I'm a friendly guy. I'm positive about life. And I try to be honest about the struggle too. I get a lot of pleasure from having a good meal with friends. My disability hasn't affected my appetite at all. I'm really into sushi.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. And I love watching sports, sci-fi, and I enjoy work as a videographer. All of that's me.
My thanks again to Casper Ryan for speaking to us. That wraps it up, but please come back and join us again. Each podcast offers insight into the lived experience of disability. Hey, what's your favorite sushi?
Oh, I know a place that does killer sashimi.
Killers and blowfish? Living dangerously, Casper.
That's me, Mr. LDC.
This podcast is a production of Real Wheels Theatre, an award-winning Vancouver-based theatre company with a mandate to deepen understanding of disability. You've just listened to one of our 4-part podcast series. We invite you to listen to the other 3. These short podcasts range from silly and lighthearted to seriously academic. The podcasts were written, interviewed, and performed by Amy Amonte, Alfia Badalova, Emily Grace Brooke, Rena Cohen, Andrew Lawrenson, and Casper Ryan. These podcasts were produced and directed for Real Wheels by Rena Cohen, with technical production by Kimit Sekon. Thanks to Canada Council for the Arts, BC Arts Council, the Province of British Columbia, and the City of Vancouver for financial support. Special thanks to Cadence Konopaki and Mark Ash. We hope you enjoyed this Real Wheels podcast. We invite you to drop us a line at info@realwheels.ca or visit us on Facebook or Instagram. Be sure to listen to the other 3, and thanks for listening.